Hey there, Trish Vander Mooren, High Desert Homes, bringing you that market update. I did miss last week, just had life happening, but the good news is that the numbers that I'm going to give you today aren't too far off of last week, so we're pretty much right in line. But let's take a look. So interest rates are top of mind, right? Interest rates being at 6.53 right now as of today, the 19th, and we're looking at the week of the 12th through the 18th. Now, interest rates have been pretty level. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they were all over the place. The week after that, they were kind of jumping around. Last week, we kind of leveled in and we're just kind of hanging out. Now, why is that? Why are we sitting kind of in this not a lot of changes? Well, the market is really anticipating what the Fed's going to do. They're wondering what's going to happen in September. Now, 2 weeks ago, they were thinking we're going to have, at least 50 basis points cut. And now they're kind of leaning maybe 25. Now, Chairman Powell is going to speak this week, and we'll see what he has to say. Does he come on really strong? Does he make it sound like, hey, we're going to definitely have a drop in the Federal Reserve rate, and because of what he's seen in the jobs claims? And, last week we had retail sales, and they were up. So that's an indication that people are still really spending. They're spending. So inflation, there's that upward pressure still because people are still spending. Jobless claims, that we get those weekly, right? And those haven't had a lot of major impact that makes them feel like that we have this major weakening in jobs. Now, so it just really depends on how he sees it, how they see it. Do they feel like we should go ahead and cut 25? Should we cut 50, or should we hold? And that's what's going to impact us come September. So when that decision being made on whether we're going to drop rates or not on the Federal Reserve will make a big impact on mortgage rates, because the bond market tends to react to what they think is going to happen. So they kind of bake it in. So that's why we've had these drops. And now we're kind of sitting because we're not really sure the economic numbers are really driving or giving us, are we going to have a cut or not? So where they were really feeling strongly we were going to have a cut, they went really low. And now they're just kind of waiting and just waiting to see what happens. If we don't have a rate cut, if they don't drop anything, what will that do to mortgage rates? Well, it could raise rates. If we do have a 25 basis point, could it just kind of keep things status quo? But what if we have a 50 basis points drop? Will it make our rates drop lower? Because all of our mortgage rates are determined by the bond market. That's who's kind of dictating that or helping along that. So it's really tough to say. The market is really watching. I know buyers and sellers are really paying close attention to mortgage rates. There's so many things that are going on right now in our world that's making people make decisions whether to list their home, wait till spring, buy a home, wait till spring. There's kind of like wondering what's going on with our world right now, whether it's the election, whether it's mortgage rates. Are we going to have more cuts? What that looks like? Are we going to get bigger cuts? Should we just wait? At the end of the day, I always tell my buyers the best time to buy is when that mortgage payment on the house you love makes sense. If you find a home you love, never stop looking, because just because the rates are high, you might find that perfect home. And if the lender gives you where your rate's going to be and it makes sense to you, that's the time to buy, because you can always refinance, but that home won't always be there. And history has been showing us over the last 4 years, that home prices have just continuing to go up. So, when you look at a graph from 2020 till today, if you were to look at that graph, I know I look at that graph and go, man, I really wish I would have bought a house in 2020. Like several houses. If I had several houses that I purchased in 2020 and where they would be now in equity, holy smokes, I wish I would have bought back in 2020 several homes, or even better yet, before that. So it's really just depends about when that home feels right. So that's my big takeaway on buying a home and whether you want to sell it or not, because you just can't time the market. It's just really kind of crystal ball stuff, right? You just can't time it. You can have some ideas. You can see, like I'm talking about, like interest rates. Could they, in September, could we have an up or a down depending on where the economics numbers are going, where jobs are going, where all of that CPI and PPI and all of that stuff, right? Where that goes and how the Fed responds to that and how the bond market responds to those numbers impacting our mortgage rates. You just don't know. You just don't know how things could happen, but the days of the 3s and the 2.5s, like, unless we have something god awful happen in our world, we just won't see those. Unless we have something terrible happen. God forbid that happen. New listings up here. We had 86 versus the week before at 89. So pretty level in regards to, because we're kind of moving into that part of the year where we start to level out. We're getting towards the end of the more activity of buying and selling, and as we start to move into fall, that'll just start to level out and then start to come down on a typical seasonal market. Now, we've been pretty much nothing like seasonal, or typical, I should say. Markets over the last few years have been kind of crazy, but normally I feel like we're starting to get back into that normal trend, and I think next year will be even more normal in regards to our trends. Starting low, coming up in the springtime, summertime, hitting our peak at the end of summertime, starting to slowly go down October, November, and then leveling out for the year and starting all over again. So that was new listings. As far as under contract, we had 17 homes go under contract versus 14 the week before. And out of those homes, the average was about 35 days. And that's true in, our normal days on market up here. So if you're thinking of listing your home, knowing that it's going to take probably around 30, 35, 40 days to sell on average, unless you've got that super hot home. So you could sell it quicker. It just depends on the activity. When you're listing a home, the most important things are price, exposure, just like where you're at on the market, like location. Those are the things that really drive, but it's really important that you price your home right. Because if you price your home too high, then you don't get the activity in the beginning, and then sometimes that can make your property stale and sit on the market a little longer before it gets noticed, because people look at it, they're like, oh, that's too much, and they back off and they forget about it. And then you may end up having to do some price drops. So, it's super, super important that you price your home right, that you work with a real estate agent that really gives you good data to go through what your property is worth, and make sure they do this research for you, they market it really well, and they have some real honest conversations. And the big part too is that as sellers, when we go to sell our home, like, we have a lot of pride in our home, what we've done to our home, and just, we have to be open-minded to what the data is telling us on what somebody will buy your home for. Somebody will pay for your home, because the market determines the price. Not me, not you, it's the buyers. They determine how much they're willing to pay for your home based off of those things: location, price, all of the things, just the condition of your home, how it presents. So just being open-minded, reading the data, understanding the data, and allowing your real estate agent to present a full package on what's really happening on the market in your home. So that's in regards to listing. In regards to average sale price, we are still sitting, so I look at July, right? So July in the InfoSparks is sitting around 455 for July. I will tell you that a different data point that I look at, which now is Altos, they're saying that right now, as of now, August, we're sitting around 474 on average sales price. But nonetheless, in July, we had a 5.7% increase in equity year over year. So that is solid. The thing I can tell you about the high desert is, there's going to be continued upward pressure on price, because it is a very affordable place to live. I did an open house yesterday. I had 4 different people that came through that are coming from LA area. And the reason they're looking up here is because they're like, I can get a home that's large for my family at a price or I'd get a house that's 800 square feet down in LA. I may pay, $500,000 for this one bedroom, 2 bedroom home, where here they can get a nearly 3,000, if not a 3,000 square foot home for their family. So it is affordable, and making the decision where do we sacrifice the commute to get to and from work and get into a home that our family will love in an area that we love? Does that make sense? So there's always going to be, because of affordability, people are going to continue to come up here. Expireds, canceled, holds, withdrawals, those are something I really like to pay attention to. And we are sitting about 45 versus 49 the week prior that went expired or canceled. So we're losing about 45 a week roughly out of our inventory. And total inventory up here is 967 homes for sale versus the week before, which was 938. So again, pretty consistent. If you've got questions, if you want to know more about the area, whether it's up here, Victorville, Apple Valley, Adelanto, Phelan, Hesperia, if you want to know more about this area, or if there's an area that I didn't mention that you want to know more about, I can get you the data. Just send me a message, and do not forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you pay attention to my videos that keep coming through. And this was a market update for the week of August 12 through 18, and I will see you next week.